Throughout world mythologies, we encounter countless beings. Demons, spirits, evil entities, fallen angels. But one of them stands apart from the others with its origin and what it symbolizes. Lilith. Perhaps you've heard her name before, or maybe you're learning about her for the first time. Because this mysterious being, according to religious narratives, was created alongside the first human. How? Because she was Adam's first wife. So why are most of us unaware of such an important figure? The answer is simple. People don't like talking about their exes, especially when that ex left you. Myths, epics, and religions have drifted from their original forms over thousands of years, sometimes emptied and sometimes filled by each passing generation and civilization. None escape this deformation brought by time. After all, humans are beings who grind down everything that doesn't suit them and glorify what serves their interests. And unfortunately, one of the topics where this deformation occurs most severely is the issue of women. While we fight for equality today, we still live in a patriarchal world. But have you ever wondered why? If the Creator made us all equal, why is the world like this today? To understand this, you need to understand Lilith's story very well. Because though filled with metaphors, her story is actually about how today's patriarchal society was designed and how women were pushed into the background. If you're ready, we're taking a journey through time. We'll see together how Lilith was shaped in the depths of history and how she transformed into the being who kills babies in their cradles today. We're in the land where history began, and as always, Sumerian civilization appears before us. The origin of Lilith emerges in an Anunnaki story told here, Inanna and the Hulipu tree. According to the tale, Enki, the god of wisdom, plants a tree on the banks of the Euphrates River. But after a storm, the tree is uprooted and falls into the river. After drifting for a while, Inanna, the goddess of beauty and love, finds this tree, pulls it from the river, and plants it in her garden. Inanna carefully nurtures the tree for 10 years, planning to make herself a throne and bed from it. But a problem arises. 3 invaders have made the tree trunk their home. A snake that doesn't listen to Inanna, an Anzu bird, and Lilith, the servant of darkness. The hero Gilgamesh comes to the rescue. He kills the snake with his giant axe. The Anzu bird flies away. Gilgamesh destroys Lilith's home and allows her to escape into the wild. This is exactly the first historical story we have about Lilith. It doesn't resemble the tale of the woman who kills babies in cradles or who abandoned Adam, does it? There's an even more interesting detail. The story mentions that Lilith nested in the tree trunk and then flew away. When we investigate the word's origin, we understand why. The word Lilith means night monster, night creature, an owl. Yes, the being called Lilith in this ancient story is actually the owl we know, the silent, feared hunter of the night. This word has repeated itself through the ages. Even today, the scientific name of the owl is Athena Noctua Lilith. In the following years, in Akkadian and Babylonian myths, we continue to see Lilith as a silent and dangerous creature wandering the wild forest at night. So how did things shift so dramatically from a simple owl? Unfortunately, we have very little information about Lilith for a long period after she meant owl. We move forward in history a bit, arriving at the dawn of the 3 great monotheistic religions. Judaism is born, and with its birth, unfortunately, the decline of women begins. In the pre-religious age, Lilith was depicted as an owl, but suddenly she appears before us in an extraordinary way. as the first wife of the first created human, Adam. The story I'm about to tell you comes from Israelite sources like the Torah, Zohar, and the Book of Ben Sira. Because we have no other sources, basically they all tell the same story with some minor detail differences. In the Torah, Genesis 1 states that after God created the world and all living things in it, God created Adam and his wife in his own image. That is, both were created at the same time. Keep that in mind. But in Genesis 2, it's written that Adam was created first, then woman was created from his rib. Scholars still debate which is the accurate description. The gap between these two different stories was filled with Lilith. Here's the story. God created Adam and Lilith together from clay, and both are equal. But over time, Adam begins to assert authority over Lilith. Events explode when the two have sexual intercourse. Lilith constantly sees this as an injustice and humiliation, because Adam is on top both in daily life and during intercourse. She says, "We are both equal, I have your rights, and I want to be on top." Adam doesn't accept this, and the argument intensifies. According to some accounts, Adam even resorts to violence. At this point, Lilith breaks free, repeats God's secret name 3 times, and flies away from heaven. Meanwhile, Adam becomes miserable from loneliness and tells God about his situation. Now pay attention. Everything I'm telling you right now is exactly as written by these sources. I'm not adding personal commentary, and things are about to get even more absurd. God assigns 3 angels named Sanoi, Sansonoi, and Samangaloth to find Lilith and bring her back to Adam. If Lilith doesn't come, they're told to punish her. I'd like to add a footnote. Pay attention to the God in the book. He has no knowledge of what's happening in heaven. He's unaware of where Lilith went. He sends 3 angels as agents to find her. Do you really think this being could be the all-powerful creator? Let's continue. Our 3 angels find Lilith by the Red Sea in an area where various demons live, and the sight they see is quite disturbing. Lilith is constantly having sexual intercourse with the former archangel Samael, now called Satan, and his demons bearing children with them. The angels convey God's command to Lilith. She's ordered to return to heaven to go back to Adam. If you refuse, they say, we'll drown you in this water. Lilith tells the angels, I can no longer be faithful and chaste with Adam, and I don't want to return to him. Convey this to God. As punishment, God castrates Samael and declares that the 100 children Lilith gives birth to every day will die. Thus, Lilith is now branded a cursed rebel. Adam, experiencing history's first divorce, is unhappy and lonely. He asks God to create a more obedient wife for him. God puts Adam into a deep sleep, takes one of his ribs, and creates woman from his essence. When Adam wakes, he's captivated by the woman's beauty and names her Eve, meaning the mother of all living things. The pair lives happily in heaven's garden, but meanwhile, Lilith's children continue to be killed by angels every day. Lilith vows to take revenge on those who caused her this pain. She says she'll kill the children of Adam and Eve's descendants whenever she gets the chance. Baby boys in the first 8 days, girls in the first 22 days. She makes one rule. If families place an amulet next to the babies and write inside it the names of the 3 angels who are Lilith's guardians, she won't kill those babies. And with this incident, traditions emerge. Not leaving postpartum women alone, drinking red postpartum sherbet, tying a red ribbon on the new mother's head. These are all reflections of the tradition of protection from Lilith, or as she's called in Anatolia, Al-Basti, or Al-Karisi. In short, Israelite sources, including the Bible, give this message. Men and women are not equal. Women who don't obey men become like Lilith and go astray. Don't be individualistic like Lilith, be obedient and maternal like Eve. Know your place. Here we've seen a bit of how Lilith, our owl who hunts alone at night, became an example of a bad woman over thousands of years. Naturally, some of you will ask, why aren't you quoting from the Quran? Of course, you're right. But the answer is simple. These matters aren't mentioned in the Quran. According to Surah Al-Araf and An-Nisa, it's stated that Allah created men and women from a single soul. Beyond this, beings named Eve or Lilith aren't mentioned in the Quran. Men and women are referred to as Adam and his wife. So there's no data in the Quran that can be added to our story. So is Lilith just a story, or is there symbolism behind it? Yes, there is. We see this symbolism more clearly, especially in Zohar and Kabbalah. According to these spiritual systems, the primary creator forms the universe where duality prevails by creating feminine and masculine energy from within itself. Beings continue the chain of creation by walking their own path with the combination of these two energies. A person who wants to advance spiritually can elevate themselves by fully embracing and controlling this feminine or masculine energy. According to this system, Eve represents woman's motherhood and creativity characteristics, while Lilith represents her self-esteem and individual power. A woman is reflected precisely as these two forces balanced in a single body. Whichever of these energies, Eve or Lilith, is more dominant creates problems, because the internal balance will be disrupted. In today's society, Lilith is seen as the first feminist in history and has begun to be adopted as an icon, especially by women's rights advocates. She's become one of the top 300 most popular names given to girls in America. Personally, it's a development that makes me happy to see women's rights advancing in these days, when the patriarchal society maintained for thousands of years has become dysfunctional. But it's essential that this equality be balanced. Otherwise, women gaining these rights by becoming masculine will mean they make the same mistakes we make, and this will disrupt the energetic balance. This is the foundation of Lilith's story. Now let's sit back and talk straight. My fellow humans who elevate all these so-called stories to the level of God's command and interpret them as they see fit have applied religion as they see fit for thousands of years. They forced women to be a lower class. To do this, just like in this Lilith example, they embellished the gaps in religious texts with their own invented stories and designed society in a way that suited their interests. And unfortunately, the ignorant masses believe these fabricated stories, even making them part of their customs and culture, enlarging them further, and eventually building their own prisons. To maintain the power of the patriarchal system, they've oppressed and continue to oppress women, using social pressure when necessary, using religion and scripture when necessary, and resorting to violence against women who aren't affected by all these methods. Today, ignorant societies don't even let women walk beside them. They make them walk behind, even though the book says they were created equal. They prevent women from doing most things on their own. They interfere with their clothes, they interfere with their ideas, and by intimidating them even more, they erase their identities. This is a classic phenomenon that occurs in almost every country with low education levels, whether it's a religious government or not. However, men who have reached a certain level of education and intelligence respect women and see them as equals. Don't take equality literally here. That's a deception. No living creature created in this world is equal to another. Forget gender. We're not even equal among our own gender. Some are faster, some are smarter, some are braver or stronger. There are infinite variables. But what matters is justice. Justice must be absolute for all living beings, equally for all genders. Even this simple visual is enough for you to understand the difference between equality and justice. Whether you're an extremely religious person or someone who doesn't care about these things in the slightest, that's your choice. But as a human being, it's your duty to be equally just to both your opposite sex and all living things in the world you live in. Where this doesn't exist, we can speak neither of civilization nor humanity. Take care of yourselves, with the hope that this world order, where societies take shelter under the guise of religion and culture, and where the powerful oppress the weak, will come to an end, and will live in a world worthy of humanity, where justice and conscience are provided equally for all humanity and all living things. Let's meet in the comments. We're curious about your thoughts. And remember, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed again. Some knowledge should not be learned. Some names should never be spoken.